It's episode 29 of the Belleville Sens podcast. The off-season rolling on. The draft is right around the corner. Free agency following after that. So a lot of exciting stuff on the way. A lot of exciting stuff on the show this week as well. Brock Ormond is off. David Foote here pinch hitting solo, I guess. Not really pinch hitting because I'm here every week. But solo. Flying solo, kind of, this week. Lots going on. We're going to chat with a few of the guys from Exit Day, as we've been doing over the past weeks on the program. So we'll hear from Oskar Pettersson, Tyler Kleven, and Zack Ostapchuk this week. We'll also get a recap on the now-finished Calder Cup finals. The Hershey Bears are back-to-back champs. They beat the Coachella Valley Firebirds in 6 games for their 13th Calder Cup title. A couple days ago, Patrick Williams from the AHL.com will join us later on in the program. And also on the show this week, a return of a fan-favorite segment. Get to know your FO. Get to know your front office returns this week on the Belleville Sens podcast, and we're going to start with Get to Know Your FO. We're going to sprinkle a few of these in throughout the course of the program and in between our interviews, because again, I'm Brockless this week, so I needed a little bit of help, and I'm leaning on some of the new faces in our sales department to help me get through the show this week. And our first guest, if you will, on Get to Know Your FO is Adriano Giusto. Did I get it?
You did get
I
it.
nailed it. Yeah, Nona would be proud of me for sure. Adriano is one of our new account executives here at the Belleville Senators. If you're a season seat member or a prospective season seat member, you may have already heard from him, or you might hear from him or some of his colleagues that you'll meet this week in the near future. So thanks for jumping on, man. I know it's busy times for you guys in the sales bullpen.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thanks for having me on here.
So the whole point of this is we just want to, let the fans kind of know a little bit about you and your background and what brings you to the friendly city here in Belleville. So tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, no, for sure. My name's Adriano. I came over from Brock University there. I did my 4 years of undergrad there, and I've always had a passion for working in sports. I've been working since the age of 15 in pro sports. I started out working with the Toronto Raptors as part of like their game operations department as an intern, and then honestly, all the connections I met from there just kind of took off everything. I just kind of met, certain people who worked for different teams within the MLSE realm, and it just ended me going to Brock. And then, I ended up here. I worked with the Blue Jays prior to this, and my goal was always work in hockey, and I think I always knew that just growing up playing the game itself. I was always a huge fan of like certain players and always watching different teams. So I think for me, working in pro hockey was always a dream of mine to do, and I saw the opportunity to work here, and one of my colleagues I used to work with and one of my former bosses at the Toronto Blue Jays actually used to work here as well. So he kind of told me a lot about the city, told me a lot about the organization as a whole, and he kind of made his own sales pitch to me, if you would. And something that really enticed me to wanting to come here and wanting to be here and just meet the people of the great city and just see what the hockey is all about here. So that's how I kind of whirled my way into the city of Belleville.
If I turn my microphone back on, and here you are back in it again, like right in the thick of things. You get your training done, and you're already making calls. What's it been like dealing with some of the Belleville Sens fans? And maybe has it been tough to kind of get a rhythm, I guess, when you weren't here for games specifically, and you're kind of trying to keep hockey top of mind through the summer?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think the biggest thing that I like to do when I talk with people about the organization, I love to hear the passion that the fans here in the great city have for our hockey club. And I know not being to many games is always something that's a little bit of a challenge just because you want to understand what it's like. But I think through the fans and, the feedback I get from a lot of people, you really do tend to feel like you have been here even without actually physically being here. You can hear the excitement come from the fans.
Sure. And
you can see like everyone's enjoying the hockey or everyone's enjoying the players. And I think the one big thing that really attracted me about this organization was how much they get into the community and how much the organization does for the community as a whole. And you can tell the fans give, as much back as we do to them with their, continuous amount of wavering support. So yeah, I think for me, it was just the biggest thing is just to see the emotions of the fans here and how they feel about players and the team itself. And you can tell this is a town that really loves their hockey and really enjoys having this team here, and I think it's going to create a lot of success for years to come, and a championship is coming to this city soon, I can feel.
How excited are you for the season to start? I know you're talking to a lot of fans who are looking forward to the guys getting back on the ice, but again, as somebody who joined right at the end of the season, how long has this offseason already felt? How much are you looking forward to October?
Man, honestly, it sounds like there's a game starting tomorrow. It's always an exciting time just to get in and talk to people about it. But yeah, no, I'm very excited to get the season underway here, and I'm always looking forward to the next day, just because for me, like I said, I'm a huge hockey fan, so I'm always antsy enough, especially seeing the draft coming up and seeing a lot of the moves that the orgs is making with players and all that. So, it feels like it's right around the corner, even though it's only a couple months away. And even seeing some of our guaranteed home dates and some of the preseason games already for Ottawa, it's getting you really exciting, and you can really tell that energy is not just within the office, but it's with everyone in the town as well. So you can tell it's an exciting time around here, and as it should be. Everyone should be very excited about the future that we have going on here, and be very excited about what's to come here for the organization.
Lots happening around the team. As you mentioned, a handful of signings this week as well. We'll get into some of those as the show goes on. But let's get into our first of four interviews this week on the Belleville Sens podcast. And we've got Oskar Pettersson, Zack Ostapchuk, and Tyler Kleven. And I didn't have an order in how I wanted to run these interviews, so I'm going to let Adriano choose who we want to hear from first. So who would you like to hear from first this week?
Let's hear from Pettersson. I'm curious to see what he has to say.
All right, Oskar Pettersson joined the team in February after starting the season in Europe. So let's hear from the young man from Sweden who makes his AHL debut, scores his first AHL goal, and sets himself up nicely for next season as 24-25 is right around the corner. It's Oskar Pettersson on episode 29, season 2 of the Belleville Sens podcast. Thanks for taking a few minutes.
Thanks for having me.
Big travel day for you. Are you headed home today?
Heading home tomorrow, tomorrow night, 9 p.m., so a direct flight to Copenhagen, and then just a short drive from there to my hometown in Sweden, so not too bad, actually.
Yeah, that's all right then. So you had a little bit of time, I guess. You're not one of the guys racing off today. Again, you joined the team here about halfway through the season or so, maybe a little bit past, play almost 30 games in the AHL. How did you feel about your season overall and making that transition to North America?
Yeah, obviously a little bit of a weird situation. The plan wasn't to come over halfway through the season, obviously. Plan was to play the whole year in Sweden, but yeah, things changed it, and I'm just happy that both me and the organization made a decision to come over here. Really been enjoying my time here. I think I developed as a player throughout those 30 games, and yeah, just a really good feeling of knowing the North American play style and all that a little bit better coming into next year.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the adjustment to North America, I guess both on the ice and off. That's a pretty big change for a guy your age to move continents halfway across the world and to just kind of embed yourself in a new community, a new team.
Oh yeah. Not gonna lie, I was a little bit nervous before I came over, obviously, but everything's been beyond my expectations, to be honest. I really enjoyed the type of playing here. I think it suits my play style very well. The guys been awesome in the team. I don't think I've been a part of such a fun team before this, to be honest. We've had so much fun during my period here too, and yeah, as I mentioned, I just enjoyed pretty much everything. So it was a great time here.
Chatting with the Sens forward Oskar Pettersson. That's something we've heard from a lot of the guys we've talked to today, just about how close-knit this team was all season long. But for a guy like yourself, coming into an unfamiliar environment, how important was that kind of, I guess, attitude and feel around the team in terms of you getting comfortable and working yourself in?
Oh, I think it means everything, to be honest. I remember the day I arrived and when the guys got to know that I was coming here, I think like 4 or 5 guys reached out to me straight away. Especially Lars has been a huge impact for me and just helped me out with everything, took care of me. Yeah, a little bit extra obviously in the beginning. Showed me around, took me to the rink, took me on dinners and stuff like that. So it means the world to me, and it made the transition way much easier.
Yeah, how did you find living in Belleville and the Bay of Quinte area for the last few months?
Really enjoyed it. We had some nice sunny days, so especially when the weather showed up, it was great, but just be able to go out on the county. Been there multiple times, visiting some nice restaurants and all that, and just overall, I think we had a great team that really wanted to hang out off the rink too. So we had a lot of fun, and for me, living in a house with Levy, Betsy, and now Reeser, the last part too was great. We've been pretty much hanging out the whole time, and I think we did a good job of actually doing stuff off ice too, which I think it's important.
Yeah, and keeping the house in order, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's my job.
Looking ahead, you're one of the handful of guys that will be in the organization next year. How does that maybe change, or does it change your off-season preparations at all? Just kind of knowing what's coming next season rather than heading into this year where you maybe weren't as sure?
Yeah, I don't know. I've always been knowing what I'm doing. I've never been like a free agent or anything throughout my short period of professional career so far. So I don't know if it changes anything. The biggest change for me is probably that over the last years in Sweden, we usually work out with the team. By the summers too. So this is going to be my first summer just working out by myself, which I actually think it's going to be great. I'm super excited for that. I think it's going to be way much more individual. Felt sometimes that when you work out with a team, it's not as individual as you want to.
Sure.
So I'm very excited actually to have my own summer, if you could say that, and just focus on myself. I know what I need to work on. I know what I need to get better at. So I'm just excited to put the work in.
Yeah, where are you hoping to maybe make some bigger strides in your game over the summer?
For me, I think it's, first of all, just keep adjusting to the North American style of play, the wall battles, that's a new thing. Not a new thing for me, but it's a bigger impact on the game here.
Sure.
So obviously keep working on that. And then for me, it's been, I've been working a lot of my skating ever since I got drafted here with Ottawa. I've been working very much with Shelley. So we're staying in contact throughout the whole summer, working on that. So just trying to be a little bit faster in those first strides. I think that's a huge part of the game over here, since it's a smaller ice surface. And then keep taking strides in my offensive game. Hope to bring some more offense next year, score some more goals. Love to shoot a puck and be a goal scorer. So just gonna keep on working with that.
We'll take a couple more minutes here with Oskar Pettersson. You didn't get to play in the playoffs, but you were around this team for the whole time. What was the experience like of at least being still a part of what was too short of a run, but one that was historic for this team nonetheless?
No, it was great. Obviously, it sucks to not been playing, and I wish that I played, but I think it's... you just love to be around the environment that gets created in the playoffs. I remember it was the same thing last year for me when I played my first professional playoffs back home in SHL, and it's just that environment and that feeling around the team. Everything gets so much important. Every single little detail that I wouldn't say that no one cares about it mid-season, but I mean, just everyone cares so much more about those small plays, and I think you get credit for it even more, which makes everyone want to do it even more. So I just think it's great to be around that environment, and obviously didn't play this year, but still learn a lot, and just take that with me for the upcoming years.
And again, the bar's been set for next year, so you'll be ready to go come the playoffs next year.
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
What else? What does the rest of the summer look like for you aside from the training?
Coming home now, take a couple of days off and weeks. We'll see how long I take off, but just take some time off with my family. Spend really focus on spending time with my family. My older brother, I've barely seen him for the last year, pretty much. And friends and all that at first, just kind of settle down, and then I'll take it from there. Maybe go on a vacation somewhere in Europe. We'll see if I do that, and then just even if it's off from the hockey, it's a lot of time you gotta put down on the off season. So obviously I have dev camp coming up too this summer, so going all over to Ottawa for a quick little break there. And I don't have too many plans right now. I'm just trying to take it as it comes a little bit, especially now since you have so many plans and all that during the season.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to fly by either way. So
exactly. Yeah, in a short little time, we're back here.
Yeah, we will be, and Oskar Pettersson will be here or in Ottawa, depending on a camp, etc. Thanks for the time, man. It was a pleasure to watch you make your North American debut, and looking forward to next season.
Thank you very much.
So there's Oskar Pettersson on the Belleville Sens podcast. Again, David Foote here with Adriano Giusto from our sales department, looking to get you set up for the upcoming campaign. Ticket-wise, before we head into our first break, how can fans get in touch with you if they are interested in buying some tickets for next season?
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm always willing to talk to fans and always wanting to hear more about the feedback and about their support here. So if anyone wants to get in contact with me, I always love to chat with them on the phone. So my phone number is always 343-645-4988, or you can even email me at giustoa@bellevillesens.com.
And if you head to our staff bio pages at bellevillesens.com, you can find all of that information as well. Adriano, thanks, man. Appreciate having you on. We'll see who we can reel in here next for our next segment.
Yeah, Footy, thanks so much for having me.
All right, we'll take a quick break here on the Belleville Sens podcast. When we come back, another guest on Get to Know Your FO, another exit interview to play as well, and we'll run through some of those key signings that were made by the team over the last 7 days or so. Before we get to the break, though, how about a highlight from Oskar Pettersson scoring a beauty one-timer from Josh Curry in Laval. Ahead for Reese. Chipped it forward for Curry. He's over the line trying to cut to the middle. Here's a chance for Pettersson. He scores! Josh Curry gets in. The play is broken up in a wide open cage for Oskar Pettersson to fire home number 2 on the season, and the Senators have a 4-1 lead.
Stay ahead of the game. Plan now for the next season of Belleville Senators hockey. 2024-25 renewals and new seat packages are on sale now. Visit BellevilleSens.com to receive information on pricing and learn about the exclusive benefits season seat members receive. Because you want to be in on all Sens hockey action. Plan to get in the game. More on season seat memberships at BellevilleSens.com. Go Sens, go!
Episode 29, Season 2 of the Belleville Sens podcast continues. Thanks again to Adriano Giusto from our sales department for his time in Segment 1. Get to Know Your FO continues here in Segment 2, and it will again in Segment 3, spoiler alert. But with us here on Segment 2 from our account executive team is Corey MacNeil. Again, another one of the new faces that some of you may have already heard from, some of you may hear from in the coming weeks as we try to cram the CAA arena for another exciting season of Belleville Sens hockey. Thanks for joining us, Corey. Appreciate the time.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's been busy times, as I was saying to Adriano recently. Some folks think that things slow down in the summertime, and I guess they slow. But it's pretty busy in the sales department right now. Lots of interest in fans getting on board for next season already.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're trying to keep that same momentum we had in the playoffs alive and keep that arena filled. So lots of hard work ahead.
Some good news on the signings front for the team this week, and I know Corey and the guys have been really good at updating their clients about what's happening around the team. Some signings to pass along over the last week or so. Wyatt Bongiovanni is back for another year. So is Jameson Reese. So is Nicholas Montenpalo, Max Gannett, Cole Reinhardt, Angus Cruikshank have all extended. Of course, any of those guys could end up in Ottawa. Come the start of the season, depending on how training camp goes, but the possibility is there to have some of those fan favorites back this season. Having guys back must kind of help, I guess, in terms of the excitement level and the familiarity that our fans are starting to have with the club.
Yeah, absolutely. You call some of the seat holders that we have already or people that have been considering it, and you tell them the exciting news of some of these players signing, and just rekindles that excitement for the the upcoming season and keeps hockey on the front of their mind.
Yeah. All right. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Again, for those fans who are either looking to purchase season seats or maybe are on the mailing list, you might hear from Corey in the next few weeks or through the season, and we want people to be familiar with our staff here. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you ended up in beautiful Belle Vegas.
Yeah, so I'm from Ajax, Ontario. It's about an hour and a half away from Belleville. Just graduated from Durham College Sport Management last June, so coming up on a year now out of school. I've been with the Belleville Sens since the beginning of March this season, or I guess the end of last season it would be.
Yeah.
And just been enjoying it so far and been absolutely loving the journey. So.
Yeah, you're one of the, I'll say, lucky ones, because we've had some new faces again in the sales department that were here for the playoff run, for the end of the season. What was it like to kind of be a part of that and basically to join on just at the right time?
Yeah, it was exciting. I absolutely love the game days, so to kind of come in and jump right into it right away was fantastic. Be able to see how everyone handles their day right away, jumping right into it, and the build-up for the playoffs was very exciting, and just to be able to be a part of that historic run we went on was huge.
Yeah. What about outside the rink? What keeps you busy when you're not here trying to sell Belleville Sens tickets?
Well, when I'm not here talking hockey with clients, I'm either playing hockey, watching hockey, or I work a couple different hockey opportunities as well, in minor hockey and junior hockey. So kind of just live and breathe hockey, and it's always around me.
Corey MacNeil from our sales department. We'll get you his contact info after our next feature interview from our exit interview series back in, I guess it would have been May, start of May. Adriano chose Oskar Pettersson. We still have to hear from Zack Ostapchuk and Tyler Kleven. I know you're a big skills development guy, and both of those guys made some pretty big strides in their rookie seasons. Who would you like to hear from?
I'd love to hear from Zack Ostapchuk. Yeah, I think he's a great player. Had a chance to meet him at the banquet and talk with him, and I think the fans would be love to have the opportunity to hear from him.
All right, Zack Ostapchuk, it will be an outstanding rookie season for the former Canadian World Junior. He is our next guest here on episode number 29 of Season 2 of the Belleville Sens podcast. Your first pro season, you make your NHL debut this year. You obviously make your AHL debut and have a pretty good campaign here with the Belleville Sens. How did you feel about your first year as a pro player?
Yeah, I felt good. I mean, I think from the start of the year to the end of the year, I took some steps, and the staff here was really good with me and giving me opportunity and teaching me little things, as well as my teammates. I mean, they were awesome to me. So yeah, I'm very happy with my first year. So
28 points, 17 goals in the regular season. How did you find your transition in terms of what you were able to produce compared to maybe what you expected or what you were used to in the last few years playing in the WHL?
Yeah, I just think it's different coming here. I mean, you're playing against men, so I think that's the biggest adjustment for me. And I know offensively, I mean, I thought I did all right. I scored some goals and played with some good players here. So I mean, but I think just playing against men, learning how to do that, I think it got better as the year went on. And
a couple points in the playoffs as well. What was the AHL playoff experience like for you? And you played in some big, meaningful games in your career, World Juniors, etc. But what was that like, and maybe how different was it from playoffs that you've been used to?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I'd say it was more like strategy here. It's kind of a chess match out there. Very intense. I mean, like I said before, playing against men. I mean, everybody wants to do well for their career and for their job. So I mean, it was. I think just the intensity was ramped up from junior playoffs and stuff like that. It was a fun time though.
Yeah, chatting with Sens forward Zack Ostapchuk. Was there a highlight for you in your first pro season?
Probably making my debut, both in this league and in the NHL. I thought both those two nights were pretty special for me. So I think just that first night in Hershey, especially getting that win against the defending champs in my first game, I thought that was really cool. And then getting to play the Penguins in my first one up there. So. Yeah, those two nights are probably my two highlights.
You've been in some atmospheres, to say the least. You got Hershey to kick things off. You had some pretty big games to play in Laval near the end of the season. Obviously, the NHL games, and then this last playoff series in Cleveland was pretty wild as well. How did you find dealing with that, I guess, more eyes on you and just kind of that big league feel.
Yeah, I think it gives you that extra jump, though, in the playoffs. I mean, we play in some cool buildings. Our building was awesome, too. So, I mean, every important game, when you have an atmosphere like that, it just ramps it up that little bit more, and it's really fun.
How did you feel about living in the Bay of Quinte and being in Belleville for 7-8 months of the year? What was that like for you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, a little quiet here, but I like that, and I like the small town feel. I liked our fans, how they supported us. So obviously, living with the guys around here, we always had stuff to do, whether it was just going fishing or like just walking around. So I like this city a lot.
What's the summer look like for you?
This summer, I'm just going to Toronto for 2 weeks, spend some time with my girlfriend, and then I'm going to go back to Edmonton and get back to work. So
nice. Any other big travel plans, or are you one of those guys that'll stay pretty close to home?
Yeah, I don't know. There's talk of going on a little Mexico trip with some of my buddies, but we'll see how that plays out.
All right. Well, enjoy it if that works out. Is there anywhere that you're hoping to maybe make the biggest strides in this off season? Are you thinking that far ahead yet?
Yeah, like obviously I just want to continue to get bigger and stronger, right? Like I really saw like there's some strong guys out here, so I want to kind of raise my level, obviously get a step, and kind of just what I attack every summer with. I want to get a little bigger, a little stronger, and a little faster. So yeah,
does that change at all your preparation? I guess you were already preparing to come in to your first pro season. Now that you know what to expect, will that change anything for you?
Yeah, I think it might change it a little bit. I mean, I kind of see what you need to do to succeed at this level now, so I think I can incorporate a little bit of that stuff, and it definitely changes it a little bit, but I'm just going to attack it and work my hardest. So
yeah, looking forward to seeing the results that come from that. Enjoy the summer. Hopefully you get a little bit of a break at least, and congrats on a fantastic rookie season.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
An outstanding season for the Belleville Sens. Rookie of the Year, Zack Ostapchuk, put up 28 points in 69 games, a couple of points in 6 playoff games as well. And again, one of those guys that could end up in Ottawa come October with a strong camp, but should he end up here, I think he's going to be a force in the AHL this year. That's my thoughts, at least. I'm sure other fans around the league would agree that Zack Ostapchuk is an incredible prospect, and Corey MacNeil, who's here from our sales department, can help you get the tickets you need to see Zack Ostapchuk and the boys in action. If people want to get a hold of you, if they have questions about season seats, flex packs, etc., how can they do that?
Yeah, so you can reach me by either my cell phone at 343-645-4422, call, text, any way that you guys prefer, or by email at MacNeil, MacNeilc at BellevilleSens.com.
And as was the case with Adriano, again, you can always head to BellevilleSens.com and find all that information there as we try to get you ready now. Buy your season tickets now. You don't have to worry about it for 3 more months, and then come October, you walk right in the door at CAA Arena, and you're back in the action. It's that easy.
Absolutely. Yep.
And again, Corey would love to help you out and get you set. Thanks for the time, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for having me.
We'll take a break. Our final segment of Get to Know Your FO is up after the break, along with an interview with Tyler Kleven. But as we go to break, we'll leave you with one of the many highlight reel plays from Zack Ostapchuk during his rookie American Hockey League campaign. Back to Pilon, backhanded off for Smakel. Smakel will lift it up over the defender, Davies, picked up by Pilon and centered. They score! Zack Ostapchuk has his second of the game. The Senators have a 2-goal lead after a crafty little play to get them up by a pair.
Don't miss 1 second of Belleville Senators action this season. The Belleville Sens Entertainment Network is the only place to hear live coverage of the Belleville Senators for all 72 games plus playoffs. Pre-game coverage begins 15 minutes before each game with David Foote, and the network is also home to the Belleville Sens podcast. The Belleville Senators Entertainment Network, presented by Deer Haven Farm and Garden. Tune in on the Belleville Sens app or BellevilleSens.com.
Back on episode 29, season 2 of the Belleville Sens podcast. David Foote here. Brock Ormond busy in the world of news around the Bay of Quinte this week. So he'll be back for what we believe will be the season finale next week, episode 30 on deck with our final 3 exit interviews with Phil Daou, Taryn Fizer, and Donovan Sabrango. So you can stay tuned for that next week. Still coming up this week, we've got Tyler Kleven on the way. We've got Patrick Williams from the AHL.com on the way. And before we get to both of those, we'll rattle out one more segment of Get to Know Your FO, Get to Know Your Front Office. We've been rolling through some of the new faces in the sales department here with the Belleville Sens, and our final victim of the day is Keegan Hill-Brown.
Thanks for
having me,
David.
Yes, you have the old hyphenated name, and we have another Hill in the office as well, so had to make sure I nailed that. Keegan is, again, one of our new account executives. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you found Belleville, or how Belleville found you, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. So I went to Brock University for sport management. I guess that's where we start. Been a sports fan my whole life, and then most recently I worked in sales, and then I kind of wanted to combine the two. I found Belleville, and it found me, I guess, in a way. And it's been great so far. I just came to the area a couple of months ago, and then just getting to know the guys, and then getting to know the area and everything. And it's been great so far. Yeah.
You join an illustrious group of former Badgers that have found a home here with the Belleville Senators. Where is home for you?
I'm based out of Meaford, Ontario, a small town near Blue Mountain. That's kind of usually where I gauge people to tell them where we're at.
Yep.
But a couple hours from Toronto, I guess, is another way to say it. But that's where I'm from.
Yeah, what's it been like having to kind of move to another new city, the opposite direction from where you went to school, and to kind of settle in and start things here with the team?
Yeah, it's definitely been a transition. I mean, kind of going to school is definitely a different transition than going into a full-time job. But it's been good. It was a slow transition, but kind of finally getting my bearings in, getting to know the guys a bit more, and then as well just the area itself. And I'm going out to Sandbanks and next weekend, so
all right.
We're getting to know the area and find the cool places and everything. So yeah.
Have you been out to Sandbanks before?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No, so
you're in for a good time then. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Get there early. The lines can get crazy.
Yeah.
So just a heads up if you're headed that way.
Yeah,
of course, that's Sandbanks Provincial Park for any of you who are not from the Quinte area that are listening. Basically, a world-famous beach here in Prince Edward County, about 35 minutes or so from the doors to CAA Arena. So that's awesome that you're getting involved in things. What about outside of the rink, away from work? What keeps you busy?
Yeah, so I'm trying to get into golf here. We got some really good golf courses in the area, of course, Black Bear, and hopefully going to take advantage of that and play in the course and get to know the area as well, different other courses. Big into fitness, so hitting up Good Life Fitness in the area and everything. So those are kind of the things that keep me busy, and then just the typical stuff, movies, Netflix, everything like that. So, yeah.
Awesome. Again, Keegan Hill-Brown is one of our new account executives here with the Belleville Sens, and you may have heard from him already over the phone. You might hear from him again, as we've been saying with the other guys, through the summer or through the course of the season. So the whole point of this is to kind of familiarize people with the folks who might be calling. We'll get you to hang on. Our last interview is with Tyler Kleven this week, rookie defenseman, former American World Junior, standout in the NCAA at the University of North Dakota, and he had an outstanding rookie campaign for Belleville. So we'll hear from him, and then after that, we'll let the fans know how they can get a hold of you.
Sounds good.
All right. Tyler Kleven, our next guest, 21 points in 53 games in his rookie AHL campaign. He also scored a pretty important goal in the playoffs for Belleville. He's the next guest here on season number 2, episode 29 of the Belleville Sens podcast. How was the year for you? First full pro season, a pretty solid one as well by the numbers. How did you feel about things this year?
Yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. Obviously, we'd like to go a little bit farther in the playoffs, but I think that we did a pretty good job this year at continuing on the Belleville Senators season, first time in the playoffs, winning games. So that was pretty cool to be a part of that. I think that I think that I grew a lot in a lot of areas. I think that my game just matured, and I'm thankful that the coaching staff here helped me out, and I think that my transition to pro hockey this year was pretty smooth, and it was good.
Yeah, I would agree. It was a pretty seamless transition from the get-go. Was there any one area perhaps that you were pleased with your game and where you were able to make some strides?
Yeah, I just think that, just my poise with the puck, just being calm with it under pressure. I think that towards the end of the year I started making some smarter plays and made more contributions than I did earlier on in the year to the team, and I'm glad that I grew that area.
Yeah, you get into the Calder Cup playoffs as well. What was the experience of pro playoff hockey like for you?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I mean, the playoffs are definitely a different breed, and I think that kind of fits my style of play, though. The physicality and just the speed and the mentality everyone has. I think that my game fits more into the playoffs than the regular season, but yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that we got to knock some teams out.
Yeah, chatting with Sens defenseman Tyler Kleven. Your first season here in Belleville in the Bay of Quinte. How did you like the area and being a resident of this part of Ontario for a few months?
Yeah, Belleville definitely served me well. We have a house, and we had a couple guys on the team in there, and I've never had so much fun in a house in my life. We laughed every day. We'd come home from the rink in good spirits, and we'd just have a ton of fun. And the city was great, and the fans are awesome, and yeah, I'm very happy with how it turned out.
Was there a highlight to the season for you this year?
A highlight to the season? Obviously, anytime you get called up to the NHL, that's a pretty big moment,
yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to get called up a couple times. I think that's kind of a little stepping stone in my journey to make it to the NHL. So yeah, that was the best part, probably.
And what's the summer look like for you? We know everybody's training, everybody's preparing for next season eventually, but how will you kind of decompress and get away from the game for a bit?
Yeah, I'll probably take a week off or so, a couple weeks off, and just decompress and get out to the lake and just hang out on the water for a little bit. And but when that time's up, I'm going to get in the gym. I want to get a lot bigger and stronger, and I want to be an NHL caliber defenseman next year, and yeah, so I'm gonna have to grind in the gym.
Yeah, on the water, boating, water skiing, wakeboarding. What's your activity of choice?
We have a fishing boat,
okay.
So we go fishing a lot, and then my buddies have a surf boat, so we go surfing on a lake and just hang out at the sandbar and. Yeah, just have a good time.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good time. Any
Yeah.
travel plans, or will you stick pretty close to home for the summer?
I've been traveling all year, so I just want to stay home. So it's been a long year of travel, but yeah, I can't wait to just plant myself in Fargo for a good chunk of time.
Yeah, well, a little more travel to get there, so we'll let you go. But thanks for the time, Clev. Congrats on a great rookie season, and all the best through the offseason here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Footy.
Perfect. So there is Tyler Kleven from Fargo, North Dakota. Again, much like Zack Ostapchuk and a handful of other players, Angus Crookshank, just to name a couple. Another guy who, with a good camp, could end up in Ottawa this year. Actually, we had a media blitz with Dave Bell, our head coach, today, which is the 26th of June, Wednesday, the recording date of this show. And he was asked about Tyler Kleven straight up. Do you think he'll be in Ottawa or Belleville in October? And he said, I can't answer that question. He said, I hope all of our guys eventually get to Ottawa. That's the point. But in terms of individual players, it's really too early to tell, and a guy like Kleven is right on the bubble with a good season. So we look forward to seeing what he can do should he end up back here in Belleville. Keegan can help you get the seats you need to see Tyler Kleven in action. If the fans want to get a hold of you for tickets, etc., how can they do that?
Yeah, so you can contact me at my email. It's khillbrown at bellevillesens.com. And then also my phone number is 613-921-1564. And look forward to getting you guys out to the games this season and enjoy some good season of hockey.
Yeah, trying to really build off of that momentum from the playoffs last year, and we're well on our way. Again, if you missed that info from Keegan, you can get it at bellevillesens.com as well. Thanks again for the time, man. I really appreciate it. You were the last one to go, so thanks for waiting it out for us.
Save the best for last. Appreciate it.
That's it. All right. Well, coming up last on the show will be Patrick Williams, the former Ellery Award-winning journalist covering the American Hockey League. He writes for the league website and was front row center for the Calder Cup Finals, which just wrapped up again. The Hershey Bears are back-to-back champs as they win their 13th title. We'll talk a bit about that. with Patrick Williams. When we come back, we'll also get his thoughts on the Belleville Sens season. That was a successful one, as we know. As we head to break, it's Tyler Kleven going coast to coast, the K-Train rolling through against the Laval Rocket. The other night. Here's Tyler Kleven getting in. He scores! Tyler Kleven gets in and ties the game as the K-Train rolls through right on time and buries his second of the season. Boy, that came out of nowhere. Kleven carrying it in from center ice, splits the D, bounces off the hit from Gallipo and chips it underneath the arm of Jakub Dobesh to tie the game.
Stay ahead of the game. Plan now for the next season of Belleville Senators hockey. 2024-25 renewals and new seat packages are on sale now. Visit BellevilleSens.com to receive information on pricing and learn about the exclusive benefits season seat members receive. Because you want to be in on all Sens hockey action. Plan to get in the game. More on season seat memberships at BellevilleSens.com. Go Sens, go!
This episode of the Belleville Sens podcast continues our final segment of the show, and we'll get you caught up on the Calder Cup finals, which are done and dusted. The Hershey Bears, as we mentioned earlier on in the program, back-to-back champs, and they've won now a baker's dozen, 13 Calder Cup titles, and joining us on the line to talk a little bit about the Calder Cup final and the Belleville Senators season as a whole. The guy with the widest eye in the American Hockey League, Patrick Williams, a feature writer at theAHL.com, working for NHL.com as well. Former Around the A podcast host with myself a couple years ago, and now guest on this episode of the Belleville Sens podcast. How's it going, Pat?
Good. Nice to be riding shotgun again.
It's always good. It's always a fun time we can get together and chat a little bit about the American Hockey League. And boy, what a season it was too. For Belleville and for the Bears, basically running the table and then getting into that tight series with Coachella in the Calder Cup final. Let's maybe start with the Senators, first of all. That's the reason why everybody's listening. We always like to get the outside opinion on this team, and I know we've done that from you throughout the course of the 23-24 season, but now that the dust has kind of settled, how did you kind of see the Belleville Sens season here this year?
Yeah, I think, you talk to people around the AHL, and the first thing you hear when you talk about the Belleville Senators is that was a hardworking team. That was a team that showed up every single night. Not necessarily on paper the most flashy or the most high-profile prospects or anything like that, but night in and night out, just a team that would work hard, was well-structured, and was a team that was going to give you a tough game that night, right? Which is really, it sounds maybe not that impressive, but in this league, I think that's really hard to do, to get that consistent effort. 72 games in a season. Your lineup is changing so much. A team like Belleville, does a lot of 3-3s, 3-4s, players coming and going. To sort of have that level of consistency in terms of effort, I think spoke really well of what they had in Belleville this season.
Yeah, and talking about that kind of consistency and the stick-to-itiveness and the work ethic that this team seemed to show throughout the entire 72 games and into the Calder Cup playoffs, how much credit, as outside media, somebody looking at this team, from outside of the Bay of Quinte bubble, how much credit would you give, Dave Bell and his coaching staff in, navigating the sometimes choppy waters that the Sens had to deal with?
Absolutely. I mean, you look at Dave Bell, right? Like, ever since he took over mid-year of the 22-23 season, right? And we remember that crazy finish last year, where 10 goaltenders in one season and just constant roster changes. And this year was obviously not quite chaotic, that chaotic, but there was still a lot of change for him to navigate. Starting right at the top of the whole operation with new ownership coming in, and that means new management in Ottawa. That's that whole trickle down effect, and just also having players up and down all year. I think it speaks well to the environment that he's created, that his assistants have created, and that's something that even if your players change over from one year to the next, you've established some sort of standard already that can carry over from one season to the next. So I think he has done with a lot of obstacles to deal with. He's done a really, really good job there, and I think that's reflected in the fact he got the contract extension, and so that's good for him. Certainly, I think that's good for the entire operation, just in terms of knowing he's going to be in place now for a while. He's the guy, and that's his standard is what is to be expected.
Yeah, absolutely. We're chatting with AHL.com features writer Patrick Williams about the season, about the Senators, and the AHL campaign that is now officially just wrapped up overall. One of the really different things that I think the Belleville Sens and the fans had to deal with this year, Pat, was the activity at the trade deadline. Now, and I'm talking the AHL trade deadline specifically here. We saw a few pieces brought in, both who have now been re-signed for the upcoming season in Wyatt Bongiovanni and Jamison Reese. But I think that was really the first time that the Belleville Sens fans have seen the impact that a move at the deadline can have. We never really had anything, overly impactful at that time of year.
Yeah, I think it sent a really good message to the dressing room from management that, hey, we believe in you guys. We also expect you to make the playoffs. We expect you to try to do something in the playoffs, not just make a cameo appearance and go home, which they did. And so, yeah, you bring in Bongiovanni, who obviously he made a lot of contributions down the stretch. He was a big part of that lineup, really pretty much from the get-go when he arrived. And then Jamison Reese, that was a nice value addition, a player that had the second-round pick. He had some success in this league, had won a Calder Cup early in his career, and kind of got caught up in that whole Carolina Hurricanes situation with their affiliation. Not having it, he ends up in Springfield, takes a detour down to Charlotte. Next stop for him is Belleville. He came in and just added another established player into that lineup. And just the more talent you have, that just raises the level of internal competition, and that's something that we all I think we all recognize. But just coming through the playoffs, it's a good reminder, right? You see that the best teams in this league have that internal competition in abundance. And to have some semblance of that for Belleville, I think that was a good step. So I think management showing that sign of confidence was definitely a big step forward for that group.
Yeah, a big step forward, and as we talked about a lot in the final couple of weeks of the season, beginning of the off season, it's just kind of set that foundation that maybe this team was missing for the last few years, and they'll be able to build on that with Dave Bell. So, and again, Ryan Bonus, Sean McCauley, Steve Steos, the management staff as well, with some work to do to kind of plug those holes and put together a roster that's going to be just as competitive, if not more competitive, than it was this year. But the North Division is going to be a little different as well, with some coaching changes, etc. Do you think that'll have much impact on the state of the North, which always seems to be such a tight battle every single season?
Yeah, you would think. I mean, you would think that there's going to be some adjustments for those teams. Rochester, obviously, Seth Appert moves up to Buffalo, so Michael Leone comes in, highly regarded from the U.S. National Development Program. But there's always that time needed for both the players and the coaches to learn each other. Same thing with Laval, certainly a team that Belleville sees plenty of during the regular season. JFO moving off to Clarkson University. That spot's still to be filled. Certainly, there will be no shortage of interest in that spot. For coaching candidates. And yeah, then you look just right across the division. There are some teams that just already have lost some players. You look at the Cleveland Monsters, for example, right? That's a team that got better and better and better throughout the year. And, by the end of the year, they gave the eventual Calder Cup champion Hershey Bears everything they could handle and then some. So they've created a really good culture with that group that's I think largely can carry over to next season. So, like you said, the North Division's always a tough battle. It's teams that really you look really from top of the division to the bottom. There's not often a whole lot that separates them. It's a tight battle every single year, it feels like, and it's not necessarily always the most glamorous brand of hockey, but it's hard-nosed, hard-working type hockey that tends to take you a long way once you get into April, May, now June in the playoffs.
Yeah, lots to look forward to coming into 2024-25 for the Belleville Sens. Again, if you want to get a head start on the ticketing process, you want to get your season seats locked down for the upcoming campaign, you can either email tickets at BellevilleSens.com or you can head to BellevilleSens.com and get more of the information that you need. We'll take a few more minutes here with Patrick Williams from the AHL.com, longtime reporter, a former Ellery Award winner for outstanding media contributions in the AHL, and was following along, as he always does, right to the bitter end of the season, which this year ended not too far away from you, Pat. The Bears win their second consecutive Calder Cup on home ice, and an overtime victory with Matt Strome scoring the winner. What an outstanding series, again, between these two teams, and really an exciting Calder Cup playoffs overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's like the most unlikely rivalry, right? Like the oldest team in the league, the Hershey Bears, a team that goes back to 1938 in this league. I mean, they go back so far that the AHL had a different name
right
when they started. 13 Calder Cups, a team that's just very traditional. And then you have the newest franchise, Coachella Valley, a team that, 3 years ago, where their arena stands now, was just a open patch of desert right off the highway. Now that franchise has become one of the destination points in this league. Dan Biosma goes in there and really just right from day one sets a great tone, and only the second coach ever in the AHL to come back to the AHL after he wins Jack Adams. So just a great story there. You have Coachella Valley now; they're going to host the All-Star game next year. They become such a success story, and just two franchises that just. In some ways they're very different. In some ways they're very similar, like different styles, certainly, but the same sort of core fundamentals and foundation for both clubs. And just, this easily could have gone 7 games. The series turned quickly on Coachella Valley. Like they won game 3, 6-2. They looked like they were in great shape. Then they lose a pair of, 3-2 games at home. All of a sudden, now they have to go into Hershey, which, as you know, is a really tough building to play in for a visiting team. And they get into overtime, and then, 106 in overtime. Matt Strome, the great fact about Matt Strome is he was the guy who was a healthy scratch first 9 games of the year, and even was a scratch during the playoffs at different points, but kept working his way back into the lineup, kept going, and he gets that opportunity. He buried that shot, and it was a fantastic series. Yeah, You feel bad for Coachella Valley. They wanted that so bad. And they just back-to-back years now, they run into this team, this Hershey Bears team that they find a way. Hershey, in some ways, reminds me of Belleville. Maybe not necessarily the most talented club on paper, but they work extremely hard. They're extremely structured. And just when you think they're down, they find another way. Like they did that against Cleveland. They did that against Coachella Valley, two excellent opponents. And as a result, now back-to-back championships. We'll see if they could do it next year for a third time.
The back-to-back Calder Cup finals meeting was an extremely rare thing. The back-to-back titles, not as rare, but what are the odds that these two teams lead their conferences again next season?
Well, Coachella Valley, their roster is looking like it's going to get hit pretty hard. I believe they have 12 UFAs coming up, and they're all the top players for the most part. Shane Wright was excellent. Got to figure he's going to stick in Seattle full time. Riker Evans, the same thing. Dan Bosma is obviously going up there as head coach, so that right off the bat is a major change. Hershey's in better shape. They do have some pending free agents, but for the most part, they'll be able to bring back at least their veterans. The guys that really have kind of solidified things there. Todd Nelson, as of now, still does not have an NHL head coaching job. Rather inexplicably to me, a guy that now has 5 Calder Cup titles has not really gotten his opportunity since that little stint he had in Edmonton. But, the Hershey Bears are always aggressive in free agency, and winning attracts players that want to come there. It did this season. They brought in Chase Brisky, Jimmy Huntington, Alex Limoges, Pierre Dubé, guys that came to Hershey looking to win, and they got their championship. So that will certainly attract it. And then for Coachella Valley, they're going to have turnover, but it's a pretty attractive opportunity for any top free agent in the league. Come out to Palm Springs, live in Palm Springs, play every night in front of 8, 9, 10,000 fans. Just a first-class operation all the way. So, you never know, as you know, in this league, how it will go. But certainly, wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility that both clubs could certainly make a lot of noise next season.
Yeah, lots of work to do for those two teams. Still a fair amount of work for the Belleville Senators and the rest of their AHL opponents to do here. And we'll, of course, be following along the whole way. And you can follow along with Pat and his work via Twitter at PWilliamsAHL. And, of course, if you're browsing the AHL.com, you'll see a lot of Pat's work there as well. Man, thanks again for the time. Always nice to catch up, dude. It's been fun.
Always a pleasure, Footy. Thank you.
All right, we'll chat soon. That's Patrick Williams, features writer with theAHL.com, as we get set to say goodbye on this episode of the Belleville Sens podcast. Brock will be back next week. A couple more exit interviews to go as we start rounding down season number 2 of the Belleville Sens podcast. We are back next week. Don't forget to rate the show and subscribe wherever you're listening, and we'll talk to you then.